All right, so this book is called The Only Way to Learn Astrology, Volume 1, Basic Principles by Marian D. March and Joan McEvers. Table of contents. More table of contents. Oh yeah, some juicy stuff over here. More prequel information. More preliminary information. I'm gonna get straight to chapter 1. Chapter 1, or part 1 rather. Lesson 1, Introduction. What is astrology? Astrology is the science that explores the action of celestial bodies upon animate and inanimate things and their reaction to such influences. Astrology has its place among the earliest records of human learning. It is the parent of astronomy. For many years, there were one science. Now, astronomy is a science of distances, magnitudes, masses, motions, speeds, locations, and so on. Based upon observations made with instruments like the telescope, astronomy may therefore be termed an objective science. Thus, the charting of the horoscope is really an astronomical process. The judgment or delineation of the horoscope is an astrological process. Astrology also deals with angles between the planet, deals with angles between the planets, and their observed effect upon humanity. The signs are a way of dividing the heavens. So are the houses, but they are based upon the place of birth. The sign may be considered the field of action. The house is the place where the action occurs, and the planet is the motivating power or force. Astrology teaches us that there is harmony and symmetry in the universe and that everyone is a part of the whole. Thus, you should try to understand astrology as a philosophy which helps to explain life and not as a predictive art or science. The purpose of astrology is not to blame planets for what happens to us, but on the contrary, to learn about ourselves by planetary indication. When we see ourselves clearly, we can discover within ourselves new qualities, and thus our lives can become more fulfilled, purposeful, and productive. Originally, astrology was divided into four parts: natural or physical, the action of the planets on the tides, weather, atmosphere, and seasons; mundane or judicial, the astrology of nations, their economic and political cycles; natal or genetical, the astrology of individuals and the study of their birth charts; horary, the study of some particular question that occurs at some moment in time and place. In this book, we will be concerned with the natal astrology. There are two kinds of astrology practiced in the West. One is called tropical astrology, the other sidereal. Tropical astrology gives the position. Wait, one second, one second, one second. So, in this book, we'll be concerned with natal astrology. There are two kinds of astrology practiced in the West. One is called tropical astrology, the other, sidereal. Tropical astrology gives the position of a planet by sign. Sidereal astrology gives the position by constellation. To understand the difference between the two, we must understand the difference between the signs and the constellations, both having the same names, which can cause considerable confusion to beginners. Approximately 4,000 years ago, when on the vernal equinox, the first day of spring, the sun was in the constellation of Aries. There was no difference. The sign and the constellations coincided. Now, because of precession, the slow wobble of the Earth about its axis, the sun enters the vernal equinox in the sign of Aries, but in the constellation of Pisces. The signs are divisions of space along a circle called the ecliptic. The ecliptic is the path through the heavens that all the planets appear to follow. There are 360 degrees in a circle, and there are 12 signs, each occupying a segment of exactly 30 degrees. 30 times 12 equals 360. Aries is the name given to the first 30-degree sector of space that begins with the vernal equinox. Thus, signs are calculated from the astrologers. Thus, signs are calculated from what astrologers call the Aries ingress, or the point at which the sun reaches 0 degrees, Aries. This point is now located in the constellation of Pisces. We mention this here right at the beginning because you will meet people who are familiar with astronomy or sidereal astrology who may attempt to undermine your confidence by insisting that if you think your sun is, for example, in Aries, you were really born with your sun in the constellation of Pisces. You were both right. So there is no need to argue about it. Sidereal and tropical astrology are based upon different principles, and both are valid. In this book, we will be teaching you tropical astrology. What is a horoscope? The word horoscope means hour pointer. It is a map or diagram of the heavens erected to determine the potentials and characteristics of a person born at a specific time and place upon the planet Earth. This diagram is also called a natal chart, a radical chart, or a nativity. In order to construct an accurate horoscope, it is essential to have the exact birth time and the exact latitude and longitude of the birthplace. It is wise to remember right from the beginning not to erect a horoscope unless the data can be verified from official records. Your mother's testimony that you were born at a certain time is probably inaccurate. It may lead to hours of wasted time and effort, and finally, to doubting the validity of astrology because the horoscope and the person won't seem to match. To erect a birth chart is relatively easy for anyone who can add, subtract, and multiply. However, the reading or delineation of a chart calls for judgment and the ability to deduce what is likely to happen under certain astrological conditions. The intricacies of astrology take considerable learning, time, practice, and most of all, serious reflection and application. In this book, we will teach you the meanings of the signs, planets, houses, and aspects. After you have acquired some knowledge of these basic elements of astrology and learn how to read a natal horoscope, then you will be ready to. So here's a couple schematics before it goes back. So we'll be ready to. All right. So figure one, the alphabet of the astrologer. Here are the basic astrological glyphs or symbols. It is important that you become familiar with these symbols and memorize them. So it's a column of planets and signs.
Which book are we reading right now?
The only way to learn astrology.
Okay.
Okay. So where did it end off at? It said, okay. Then you'll be ready to calculate one. Keep in mind that you are really learning a new kind of symbolic language, and only by rote and application will you become fluent in it. The astrology you learn will enable you to view the events that occur in your life and in the lives of others more intelligently. This is because you will be able to see, understand what forces are operating, and you will learn to see how these forces correspond to what is happening. However, always remember that your free will and your attitude will determine how much or how little use you make of the talents and potentials you were born with. The choice is yours. The natural or flat wheel. On page 7, you will find what astrologers call a natural or flat wheel. In order to familiarize yourself with the construction of the natal horoscope, you will now learn where the 12 signs belong in the natural horoscope. You can either write in the book or, if you prefer, you can draw your own wheel. Start by placing the symbol for Aries in its correct position on the eastern point of the chart. This point is the boundary line between the 12th and the first houses. This line is called the first house cusp, and and it is given a very special name, the ascendant or rising sign. Put the symbol for Aries near the point where the cusp meets the circle. Next, move down counterclockwise to the cusp of the second house, the line dividing the first and second houses. At the point at which this cusp meets the circle, place the symbol for Taurus. Again, move counterclockwise to the cusp of the third house and place the symbol for Gemini in its proper place. Continue around the circle until you have inserted the symbol for each sign, as given in the chart on page 4, in its proper place in the chart. You should finish with the sign Pisces on the cusp of the 12th house. You may check your work by comparing it with the completed chart in the appendix. See page 282. The elements. We sort the 12 signs of the zodiac into groups with certain common characteristics. One way to do this is by temperament. This grouping is said to be by element or triplicity, and it is as follows. Fire signs: Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. These signs are fiery, ardent, enthusiastic. spontaneous, self-sufficient, and romantic. Misused, they can be bossy and too forceful. Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. These signs are practical, earthy, dependable, conservative, and sensual. They love material comforts and have good recuperative powers. Misused, they can be dull and too materialistic. Air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. These signs can communicate well. They tend to be intellectual and they are able to handle abstract reasoning. They are logical, broad minded, objective, idealistic, and unprejudiced. Misused, they can be cold and impractical. Water, water signs. Hold on 1 second. Water signs. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. These signs are feeling, sustaining, and receptive. They are emotional, intuitive, responsive, sensitive, and deep. They tend to be susceptible to moods and are easily influenced by the environment. Remember what water is found in three forms. Remember that water is found in three forms: liquid, ice, liquid water, frozen ice, and gaseous steam. Cancer is the liquid form, Scorpio is the frozen form, and Pisces is the gaseous form. Misused, these three misused, these signs can be self-indulgent, self-pitying, and wavering. Using your flat wheel, you will now place the proper elements with their correct signs. In order to do this, you must first understand that the sign on the cusp of each house is the sign that has precedence in that house. Place the word fire in the three houses that are related to the fire signs. To do this, you will place the word fire in the first house, Aries, in the fifth house, Leo, and in the ninth house, Sagittarius. Continue to do this with the three other elements until each house contains the name of one element. For example, the sixth house should contain the word earth, the 11th house, the word air, etc. You may check your work against the completed chart in the appendix on page 282. The qualities. We can also divide the 12 signs of the zodiac into three groups of 4 signs each. The signs in each group have certain qualities in common. Each group has a distinct mode of operating in life. The qualities or quadruplicities are, okay, so here's figure 2, natural or flat wheel. This is the wheel of the 12 houses of the zodiac showing the direction east, west, north, and south, and the meridian and horizon lines. As you proceed with lesson 1, you will put the information that we give you into proper houses on the chart. You may want to draw your own chart. You can do this by drawing a circle and dividing it into 12 sections, numbering the houses as below, and writing in the words ascendant, and so on, as we have done here. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so that's the actual, what they were explaining. That would be essentially what you would be drawing and mapping out and creating. Uh, bam. All right, so moving on. Cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. These signs are the 4 cardinal points of the compass: east, west, north, and south. Aries is east, Libra is west, Cancer is north, and Capricorn is south. These signs are called cardinal because they govern the change of the seasons. Aries, spring, Cancer, summer, Libra, fall, and Capricorn, winter. Cardinal signs are initiatory, active, ardent, and ambitious. Ambitious, enthusiastic, and independent. Their minds are quick and insatiable. Used negatively, they can be hasty, inconsiderate, and domineering. They may fail to finish what they start. Fixed signs: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. These signs are the middle month of each season, whereas cardinal signs bring the transition between seasons. The fixed signs are firmly set in the middle of each season. The fixed signs are determined, able to concentrate, stable, resolute, accumulative, and dignified. Their minds are penetrating and their memories are excellent. Hmm. They achieve results slowly but surely. Used negatively, they can be stubborn, egotistical, and too entrenched in their particular ways of looking at things. Mutable signs, also called common signs: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. These signs are the closing month of each season. This is the time to complete the work of this season while planning for the new season to come. The mutable signs are versatile, adaptable, changeable, subtle, sympathetic, and intuitive. Their minds are ingenious and flexible. Used negatively, they can be deceptive, crafty, inconstant, and undependable. Returning again to your flat wheel, you will now insert the proper quality for each of the 12 signs. To do this, start by placing the word cardinal in each house related to a cardinal sign. Thus, you will write cardinal in the first house, Aries, in the fourth house, Cancer, in the seventh house, Libra, and in the 10th house, Capricorn. Continue placing the words fixed and mutable in the proper houses. Again, check the accuracy of your work against the completed flat wheel in the appendix. Rulerships. Each sign of the zodiac has a planetary ruler, a planet that is harmonious in temperament with the sign it rules. The sign rulership are as follows. For the sign Aries, the ruler is Mars, or the ruling planet is Mars. For the sign Taurus, the ruling planet is Venus. For the sign Gemini, the ruling planet is Mercury. For the sign Cancer, the ruling planet is the moon. For the sign Leo, the ruling planet is the sun. For the sign Virgo, the ruling planet is Mercury, etc. Um, Matter of fact, I'll read it because I don't know if people walking around they might not can't see this. So, um, for the sign Libra, the ruling planet is Venus. For the sign Scorpio, the ruling planet is Pluto. Sagittarius, the ruling planet is Jupiter. Capricorn, the ruling planet is Saturn. Aquarius, the ruling planet is Uranus. Pisces, the ruling planet is Neptune. On the flat wheel, insert the proper planetary symbol in the house that corresponds to the sign of that house. For example, insert the symbol for Mars in the first house, Aries, the symbol for Venus in the second house, Taurus, and so on until there is a planetary symbol in each of the 12 houses. The houses. The houses can be classified into three groups of four houses. Okay, the houses can also be classified into three groups of four houses each. These correspond to the qualities of the signs previously discussed. Each house group shares characteristics in common, which we shall discuss in detail later in this book. The houses are grouped as follows: the angular houses, first, fourth, seventh, and tenth; the succedent houses, second, fifth, eighth, and 11th; the cadent houses, third, sixth, ninth, and 12th. On your flat, place the word angular in the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th house, the word succedent in the second, fifth, eighth, and 12th houses, and the word cadent in the third, sixth, ninth, and 12th houses. In astrology, each house has a meaning, which will be fully explained in lesson 4. To help you understand the significance of each of the houses, at this point, we will give you one keyword for each house to insert on the flat wheel. Note that opposite houses have opposite keywords. First house, one, first house, I or me, the person who chart it is. The seventh house, you or the other person. Second house, mine, what belongs to me. The eighth house, yours, possession of others. The third house, here, my immediate environment. The ninth house, there, more distant places. The fourth house, private, my private life. The 10th house, public, my public life. Fifth house, love given, the love I give. 11th house, love received, the love I receive. The sixth house, physical health, the state of my body. The 12th house, mental health, the state of my mind. On the flat wheel, write each keyword in the appropriate house. All functions and energies in nature follow the positive negative principle. Astrology is no exception. The signs of the zodiac are divided into positive and negative, or in astrological terms, active and passive signs, also called masculine and feminine. All odd numbered signs, the fire and air signs, are considered active. All even numbered signs, the earth and water signs, are considered passive. Please write the words active and passive in the appropriate houses on the flat wheel. Summary: you have now completed your flat wheel and have been introduced to some of the basic elements of a horoscope. Every profession has its tools. The carpenter works with a saw and hammer, the surveyor with a transit, and the astrologer with a horoscope. In order to become proficient, a person must learn to handle the tools of that profession well. In this lesson, you have taken the first step in learning how to use the horoscope. In the next few lessons, we shall study each of these basic elements in detail to learn more about them. Before proceeding to lesson 2, you should memorize the symbols given on page 4. Write each symbol until you feel comfortable writing it and until you know what each symbol means automatically. Then you will have the basic alphabet of astrology. It's a new chapter. All right, so we'll get some Q&A on lesson 1 or chapter 1. Thoughts, how people feel. Was it inside?
I would say the only question I got is that Scorpio had Pluto and Mars as their planets, but in the book it just said Pluto.
Say that again.
I said I always thought that um, Scorpios had Mars, Pluto in their in their planet, like for the signs, but in the book it just said Pluto, I think. Like when you're reading it.
Yeah.
But then again, sometimes I hear like that Mars is kind of like a secondary planet for Scorpio. But I don't know. That's just like I was just wondering why I didn't mention both of the planets in there. But
No, it's interesting because I was talking with Ali about that. He's a Scorpio, and yeah, he got two. What you just said, he got Mars, and then, yeah. I think Pisces is like a dual thing like that too. I believe or something. Or they got
I
Yeah,
think
with
so, maybe.
Jupiter.
right.
I think so, maybe.
Yeah.
I got an astrology book myself that I be reading too. That I be reading through. It was saying like basically everything that you were just reading. But like I said, like when I just read up on the Scorpio, it mentioned two planets. But
I like how it's flowing though. I see it's gonna keep you grounded, and you got to retain everything that you learning before. You know what I mean? Before you move on, I see. But I do want to like create my own little, like they was kind of recommending how we go about creating the thing.
Yeah, create your own chart. That's dope right there.
They broke it down super simple too. That's what I like about
Super
it.
simple. Yeah, super simple. The 3 books I got already, they don't break it down like that in the first little introduction.
Yeah, mine too. Like they don't really break it down that simply. Like I like the way they tell you like how to create it, and then they give you like examples, like, oh, go to this page to see how it looks. Like, if you can help.
Right.
So I like that.
Yeah, because I was trying to do mine last night, and I was like, God damn, what do I need to do? Shit, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I know when I try to create mine, the part that just like that gets me, or the part that confuses me is like reading, like how to read nodes and
Yeah,
connecting aspects in your birth chart. Like when it gets to that level, it kind of gets like difficult. But I'm pretty sure this book will probably explain it better.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the same invite if y'all want to hop back on. I have some questions for Zariah. But yeah, we're gonna come back on and kind of recap the chapter. It's the same invite.
Okay.